Welcome to Late Night with Larry. I'm here with my co-host once again, Vince. Vince, give me a shout out.
Hey, welcome back to the Larry D Studios. Glad to be here.
And we're glad you're joining us. So, we always forget to do this, so I'm not going to forget now before we get started. If you've liked what you've been hearing and you want to hear some more, why don't you subscribe to us? Hit that subscribe button. And if you want to email us with a story, an encounter, whatever, or just want to tell us we suck, like my brother says, you could do that at latenightwithlarry55@gmail.com. We want to hear from you.
Yes, we do. Now, do we always forget to remember? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think sometimes we do, but
Yeah.
I think overall we're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
people.
we're middle-aged men. We kind of got that old-timers disease,
Right. And before we go any, you usually see us with the Coors Light, but we're gonna switch it up a little bit tonight.
The chiladas?
The chiladas.
These are good,
Coors or Modelo, one of you reach out to us. Come on, man.
because Modelo Especial.
That's right. Anyway, once again tonight we're going to talk about our favorite subject, the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, the Yeti. Has many names.
Right.
And last episode I was talking about some things that I was thinking about, but I was telling my brother today we're just going to talk about what we do about this creature. When we go up there, and like we said, I've been a fan since I was a young child, really got involved when he had his experience, and I don't, look, I'm not obsessed, or maybe I am a little bit, but I want to know what this creature's all about.
Right. I always say this: we thirst for knowledge, and we keep an open mind. All the stories we hear, all the documentaries we see, some are very hard to swallow, but others are very convincing. Either they're legitimate or they did their research and they're saying what we want to hear.
Right. Now, I think there's too many, like we've always said, there's too many people that have the same type of experiences for us to say they're just crazy.
Right, right.
I can't do that yet.
Now, we were subject of Bigfoot. Now, we've always been intrigued. Now, when I had my experience, that was the tipping point for me. It scared the hell out of me. I didn't want to have nothing to do with Bigfoot or the woods or any of that. I wanted to stay in my house in the city, where maybe a rattlesnake or a roadrunner.
Right.
But he convinced me to take him out there.
I did, people.
And that's where it started. We went out, and the more we went out, the more confident I got. I guess I got used to it more. I got used to the idea. And even though we've heard some crazy shit out there,
right?
It still scares me. I'm not gonna lie. When we go out there, there's a saying we have: if you want to test your manhood, you come out here at night.
That's right, and that's no joke. Where we go, I mean, I took my nephew out there, and I chose this is what we do, and I turned off all the lights, and I said, this is what happens when we go dark.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
It is.
But it's fun.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's what we do. I mean, some people like hunting, some people like off-roading, some people like reading and going to college.
Right.
People have their own niches. This happens to be something that really came upon us, and we're hooked. That's all I could say.
Yeah, I think we are hooked.
Yeah, and once I had my experience, we both started doing a lot more research. Like I said, we're always intrigued. We've heard stories from credible people, but we've always took everything with a grain of salt. We never said, oh, this guy's cuckoo or anything like that. We're the kind of guys who we need our own evidence.
That's right.
Hear something tangible.
We think independently.
Right.
And anyway, and he's right. I mean, because until he told me about his encounter, I myself, yes, I was into the Bigfoot and the Sasquatch and all the paranormal stuff, but I wasn't quite sure because I mean, other than the experiences I had with my dad and us camping as a child, from that time on, I didn't really have any other stories or encounters from people I knew personally. Now, I always saw the mass media, the documentaries, the shows, and whatnot, and I thought, wow, I don't really know anyone that's had that until my brother told me about his experience, and that like just reignited the flame under me. So that's what made me really want to dig deep into this lately.
And that's crazy. And I am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. Maybe there was a reason that encounter happened.
It could have been. I mean, it's a reason so that we keep going nuts looking for these creatures.
And we podcast to entertain you.
That's right. Maybe it was.
Yeah. Now this podcast, it sprung off something a long time ago with one of our sister's friends who wanted to do a late night show, but it really came to life when we were going out to the mountains to do our own research, and it's about an hour and a half drive, easy.
Yeah, easy.
But we could talk about Bigfoot or Dogman or paranormal UFOs.
All the way there.
And he came up with the idea, we should just record our conversations and podcast them.
That's right. And that's what we're doing.
Here we are, a little over a year later, 60-some episodes in it.
63. This will be 63 episodes.
But who's counting?
Right.
Now, to get back on subject, I had my encounter here in the Jemez Mountains. Now, there's a gentleman I work with that approached me. He listened to the podcast and he liked it, and he wanted to talk to me. I gave him my phone number. I haven't talked to him in depth yet because we're opposite. Like when he works, I'm off. When I work, he's off. But he did tell me a short story about Bigfoot. Now, this man's a hunter. He's been in the mountains his whole life. He guides other hunters. That's New Mexico's a big hunting state. We have people come from out of state to hunt here, and our guys here guide them. But he was telling me when he was young, they were up in the Magdalena Mountains.
Magdalena, yeah.
Now, that's up north here, and he was young. I guess he was maybe 6 or 7. I think that's what he told me. Now, he didn't really want to give his name. Some people are still afraid to be ridiculed. And when I first told my encounter stories to people at work or people outside my circle, because once you tell somebody, it kind of spreads like wildfire.
That's right.
And other people came up and asked me, and there's always the naysayers. For some reason, they feel the need to ridicule. I mean, if you believe, you believe. If you don't, you don't. It's as simple as that.
And we're not trying to force you to believe.
No.
If you're watching, we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, no, we're just putting out what we know, what we find, what we hear. And that's why my friend, he was up in the Magdalena Mountains with his family. They were cruising around. I'm guessing it was night because they saw something cross in front of their car. And he told me he's seen it. It was upright. It was running. It was hairy. And he just remembers his parents' conversation. Like they're saying that wasn't a bear. That was on 2 legs running across. And so he told me that stuck in his mind. And he knows it was a Bigfoot.
Now, when did he see this?
Oh, he's probably around your age.
Okay.
So this was a good 45 years ago.
Oh, okay. I feel better now. I was going to say, if you saw it last week, that may have been me streaking.
Yeah, well, with this COVID thing, you got to wash your clothes. So on laundry day, what can you do?
That's right. Okay, I feel better.
Yeah.
But good story.
But I've known this gentleman over 10 years, and our dad has known him even longer. And I think he's credible. He's, like I said, he hunts, he guides, he knows the wilderness.
Right.
And that one thing stuck out in his mind. And he has more stories. I'm hoping he shares with me. He don't want to come on the podcast, like I said, for some reason or another. I wish he would. But he said he'll pass along to me those stories so I could pass them along to you.
And like we've said before, our state that we live in, this state, it's ripe with stories like that due to the diversity of cultures and,
Our mountain ranges, they really start mid-state and they go up all the way into Colorado and who knows how far.
Right, they do. They do, but I'm also talking about like I've said before many times, the Navajo culture, their folklore, our own Hispanic folklore, each tribal member that lives around here, the Pueblos,
Right.
their folklore. I mean, the Pueblos are heavy into like the UFO theory, though.
Right. Now, on our last podcast, I talked about a gentleman who shared with me the stories about the Wolfman or werewolf, whatever.
The Dogman, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
and that was a great story. And I asked him about
was.
Bigfoot, and his culture didn't really have a whole lot. I'm guessing is because geological location. Now, here in New Mexico, everyone thinks like Clint Eastwood movies, the desert and stuff, and part of the state is the southern part is real desert, but up north we got what's called high desert, where it does get hot, but we do got some beautiful mountain ranges,
Beautiful
and we
mountains.
got some thick forest.
Yes, and that'll take you from our northern part of the state all the way into Colorado, and and where it's really green and they have a lot of forests.
Right, and these mountain ranges are connected, and one of the high points in our, well, where we live around the center, I guess you could call it the Beltline of New Mexico, where I-40 runs, is Continental Divide. The elevation is pretty high there, and the tree line kind of connects.
It does.
And that's where our father saw one cross the road, Bigfoot.
Right.
And that freaked him out. And to prove that it's connected to Colorado and beyond, we've had grizzly bears down here every so often.
Right, and I remember growing up and hearing about the ranchers killing a grizzly that wandered down from the Rocky Mountains.
And was killing the cattle.
Right, that's why they killed it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we live in a pristine land for folklore and
Right.
and good, intriguing.
Right.
What's the word I'm looking for here? Not stories. When people pass something on to the conversations, let's just say conversations that talk about the paranormal, Sasquatch,
Right,
and
right.
whatnot.
It's stories passed down from generation to generation.
That's
And
right.
they say America is a melting pot of the world. Well, New Mexico is really diverse too.
Yeah, we have a little bit about everything here. That's why we have our chili's different than chili you'll taste in any other part of the world. The way we make it, the way we serve it, our dishes. We have red and green together. We call them Christmas.
Yep.
But I guarantee you, anyone that visits our state and tries our type of chili, they fall in love with it.
Right. And when you leave New Mexico and you hear chili, it's more of a stew.
That's right.
And ours is more of a sauce.
More of a sauce to cover anything you're eating from.
Right. And
from
we
potatoes,
cover everything.
from potatoes to steak, and we use it on everything.
Yep.
Anyway, we got off subject. We're trying to pull you guys in. Well, are we doing a tourist commercial?
We're promoting New Mexico, so you could come down, be on our podcast, and tell us your story.
That's right. If that'll get you down here, come on down.
Yeah.
If not, like we said, soon we're getting this technology. I just talked to. I don't want to really put the company on blast because it's happening to every company. I looked online, but we got this technology coming in that we're just dying to get our hands on, and you could just call in. You could be across the country in New York and have something you want to share with us, and
Or
you could call in.
Or you could be next door, and because of this COVID,
That's right.
you could call in, and
And
that's the reason we haven't got it yet. Is this COVID has afflicted the supply chain,
That's right.
or else they're lying to us, them bastards.
But when I do get it, I am going to push for you people to really call in. So,
Right.
So
But
think about it.
Yeah, but to get back to New Mexico,
Right.
I want to push the diversity of the land, because a lot of people want to associate Bigfoot with New Mexico. But after I had my encounter, I started researching it. You could Google it, and you'd be surprised how many encounters, especially up by Farmington on the Colorado border.
Right.
The San Juan River
San Juan
Basin.
River Basin, yeah.
That is a hot spot.
Yeah, I mean, if you really look at it, everyone knows it's a hot spot, and that's in the Four Corners area.
Right.
But let me back up a little bit because my brother was talking about something. Okay, I was down south and we were doing some what's called rock crawling, the big jeeps, and we're going through the ravines and whatnot like nothing. These rock crawlers are amazing. Anyway, there were some people that didn't really, when my daughter's boyfriend had explained to him that we're looking to build a trailer to go out there and stay longer periods of time. People that he talked to that were maybe going to be involved in the project were like, really? They have that up there? We didn't think it was up there.
Right.
And I told my daughter's boyfriend, I said, yeah, I mean, I've talked to you about this. He said, yeah, I told him that you have areas up there that are active. And if they were interested, now that you're here, they could ask you questions. I don't know what no one asked me questions, and I was waiting for it, but I think they thought, well, maybe it's a little personal. No, if you see this face on the street, you got a Sasquatch question, let's talk.
Right. Or you got a question about wine? He can tell you.
I can.
Yeah. And I had the similar thing where I work, and now on social media, people know about the podcast. Word's getting out, and they've heard about my encounters. So people have been reaching out to me, and that's great. They haven't reached out as much on the email, but these are people I see, on a weekly basis, and they come up to me, hey, can I talk to you? Yeah, you bet. I'll give you my phone number. Let's talk. But for some reason, they don't want their voice on the podcast or their face. I don't think it's ridicule. I think it's just nervousness.
I think so too, but that's fine. You know what? It don't make no difference to me. Just give me your story.
Right. And we want to know what you've been through.
That's right.
So we could put it in our data banks. We could analyze it, and we could pass it on to you.
That's right.
Now, we're not judging. We just want to know, if you tell us you had a sighting or something here or there, because we have a pretty good spot we go to. It's
right.
It's gold. It really is. But we're always looking for another maybe hotter spot, or because
more active spot.
Right. Because it's always hit and a miss, and usually there's always at least one thing. It may not be a scream or a tree knock, but something.
Yeah.
Like we heard something that sounded like it was mimicking an owl or carrying a gas can or bottle thrown at us. What's that about?
Right. And, and we talk about a hotter spot, and I've listened to my fair share of Sasquatch podcast and whatnot.
Right.
And once again, Wes, shout out. I love Sasquatch Chronicles.
Wes.
And, I hear stories on that. I guess we could call it a podcast or a live stream, but I hear some of the stories about the big thicket, and I'm like, that's like crazy. The activity they say they have down there is like crazy. I mean, we get our incidences, and like I said, we were talking earlier, telepathy, they know you're there. Do they really? Because, I mean, we've had many times where we've had incidences and it can't be explained. And that's where I go back to people that think we know everything in this country or in this world. We don't. There's so many things that people encounter that can't be explained. And we've had several of them.
Right. And we're not talking only paranormal, UFO, just our Earth. I believe we've only scratched the surface as exploring it. Mm-hmm. Look at our ocean. I mean, we don't know what's down in the depths. I'm a sucker for documentaries, and I don't know if you ever seen the documentary about the mermaids.
Yeah, I did.
That's pretty cool. That. They have footage of like the drilling rigs way down there, and something comes on it and spears the fish.
Right. Yeah, I know. I remember that.
Now, we're both sailors, and I wish I would have found a mermaid, but we didn't.
There's no mermaids out there. Trust me. I've been out at sea a lot, and there's no mermaids.
Yeah, but we've never been to the depths.
Well, I have been to the depths. Oh, wait.
Of the ocean.
Of the ocean. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
No, okay. He's right. I haven't been there.
I'm not talking about that ditch in back of safety.
Okay, you're right. Anyway, these are thoughts that we have, and I don't know. You got anything to add?
No, I'm just keep everything with an open mind. Like I said, I love documentaries, and I until I had my own experience, I never knew about all the sightings here in New Mexico. And who knows, even if I did, if I would have believed them.
Right.
You know, like I said, we always took everything with a grain of salt. But when you have your own experience, I tell everybody this, it's going to change your life in one way or another.
Definitely. I mean, look, I haven't had my experience like he has, but since we've been up to where he had his experience, I've encountered several unexplained phenomena that, for once, we've said it time and time again on our podcast. It's like someone threw a bottle. We're the only ones out there, and we hear a bottle bouncing on the dirt road. And immediately we looked at each other and we said, "Did you hear that?" And you've heard, if you're listening and you're a follower, you know I've said this several times, but I can't overemphasize it enough because it happened to me.
Right.
What happened to you?
Now,
Tell me.
You've heard screams.
Yes, I've heard screams.
You've heard, like I said, the gas can. We've
gas
heard
can.
the owl mimic.
Right.
Like I said, most of the time we go out there, even if we don't hear something Bigfoot related, we'll see some crazy lights in the sky.
Right. And I mean, if you're listening or watching this podcast on YouTube, what's making you listen and follow? Did something happen to you? Did you hear something?
Right.
I want to know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
That's right. So, you know.
Yep. Don't be afraid to reach out to us. If you want to stay anonymous, you will. We'll pass on your story.
That's
But
right.
if you want to come and talk with us, we'd love that too.
We definitely would. You got anything to add?
I'm good. Until next time.
Until next time, we're sorry this is a little short, but everything can be a marathon.
Whoa.
Peace.
That's what my ex-wife said. Peace out. Later.